Welcome back, you bunch of weirdos. It's your number one fat Asian coming today with another one of, I guess, a non-traditional FIFA 19 experiment. For you guys who don't know, the NFL draft is right around the corner, and that got me to thinking, what would it be like if the Premier League had an American football style draft? For you guys who are unfamiliar with the style of the NFL draft, basically the format is, since there is no relegation or any of that, to improve parity in the league, the teams with the worst records get to go ahead and have first shot to pick the high-rated players coming out of college. So that got me to thinking, what would it be like if the Premier League was formatted like this? And then at the end of the season, whoever was on the bottom of the table, they get the first overall pick. So as of right now, which is April 22nd, Huddersfield is at the bottom of the table. They would get the first overall pick. And then Fulham, who's in 19th, would get the second overall pick. Cardiff would get the third. And would just go completely down the line in reverse order all the way to Man City, who's at the top of the table, or should be on top of the table because they have a game in hand. And then once Man City makes a pick, it goes all the way back to Huddersfield and starts over again. As for players who are eligible to be drafted, there's going to be no Messi and Ronaldo's. This is going to be only players who are 23 and under and outside of the Premier League. The reason for 23 and under is that is the normal age of players who are drafted into the NFL. And I'm also not going to touch any of the under 23 players who are already in the Premier League, otherwise it would just be a giant clusterfuck. So the Marcus Rashards and the Gabriel Jesuses of the world will stay on their teams. But with that said, I am now going to go through all 20 teams twice. This is going to be a 2-round mock draft. I actually did this on stream on the Twitchy Poos, so I had input from fans from every single team. They helped me go ahead and make this, so thank you to the Twitch boys. And then after the 2-round draft, we're going to take all these teams, put them in the Premier League, and see if putting the talented youngsters on these teams will make a difference. So if you are excited to see what high potential youngster your team is about to draft, go ahead, smush your nipple into the like button, subscribe if you are new. But without further ado, the first pick in the 2019 Premier League draft, Huddersfield is on the clock. And looking around the team, it's Mbappe. I mean, come on. I think unanimously, no one's really going to argue. You're taking best player available, and that is this youngster who could be the next superstar after Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi lead the game. Also, it's at a place of need because Huddersfield has scored an atrocious 20 goals the entirety of the season. So yeah, slam dunk pick, and with that, Fulham is now on the clock. The beloved team of my good homie, Jared HD, has a lot of places that you could go. But being that Mitrovic has decent end potential, Sessegnon's has good potential at the left mid, I think definitely Ream is the guy that we should be targeting to upgrade. So with the second overall pick, Fulham is going to go defense, and they're going to go Skriniar. It was a close debate here, either going Skriniar or De Ligt, but both of them actually have the same potential, which I believe is around 93. But the difference was Skriniar is already at an 86, while De Ligt is only at an 84. And with Fulham being in a relegation battle, they can't really fret around and develop players. They need someone store-bought and ready. And with that, Cardiff is now on the clock. Cardiff have the distinction of being the lowest overall rated team in the Premier League, so it's going to be tough for them not to get relegated. Pretty much could go anywhere here. The distinct weakness is they have a 69 rated right back, but you know, Joshua Kimmich can only affect the game so much, and when you're a team this low rated, I feel like fullbacks are a little bit of a luxury pick positionally. So at the third overall pick for Cardiff, I went Gianluigi Donnarumma. Listen, the rest of the team sucks. And if you're in a relegation battle, your one shot is maybe you got a keeper that can stand on his head and get you a couple of clean sheets just by himself. And with that, Brighton is now on the clock. Now, Brighton have struggled to score goals this season, so I think we are going to go offense for them. Lamar is getting up there in age, but unfortunately, Mbappe's off of the board, and there are higher rated players above him. This Jahan guy has a potential of 80. So, on the right wing, we're going to go ahead and replace Knockaert here, and Brighton is going to take Ousmane Dembele of Barcelona, and he's 84 rated overall with a potential of 92. Lightning quick, has all the tricks in the book, 5-star weak foot, excellent service. I think this is a slam dunk pick for Brighton. And with that, Southampton is now on the clock. Now, Southampton definitely could have used an upgrade at the center back position, and De Ligt was in consideration here, but I'm still going to go up top. They are going to play this formation. Nathaniel Redmond isn't exactly a true striker, and Danny Ings is, well, Danny Ings. So with the 5th overall pick, they're going to take the speedster from the Bundesliga, Timo Werner. Absolutely blistering pace, has great stamina, and a tidy finish to boot. I think this is going to really help them in the battle to get them back into the mid-table. And with that, Burnley is on the clock. Now, Viz's team is Bardsley is agent, he's 72 rated, and he's 33 years of age, but still, I'm not going to go Kimmich here just because if you're picking in the top 6, you can't go fullback. It just doesn't affect the game as much as, you know, a striker or midfielder. That's where we're going to go. Cork is 29 years of age. Westwood beside him is also 29 years of age. So we're going to take arguably the hottest prospect in Europe right now, and that is Ajax's Frankie de Jong. Currently headed over to Barcelona, and the superlatives about this kid are astronomical. And it would not surprise me in a couple seasons we're talking about him as one of the best young midfielders in the world. And with that, Bournemouth is now on the clock. Bournemouth is the club who has a glaring weakness in their starting 11. It's Boric. He's only 75 rated. That's where he tops out. Fortunately, Donnarumma is off the clock, but they get a nice consolation prize in Alban Lafont, who's fantastic. Already an upgrade over Boric and has a potential of 91. They are set at keeper for the next decade. Newcastle, at least from the fans on Twitch, they were all screaming defense, defense, defense. They need new center backs. So we're going to get rid of Schär, and he's finally going to go off of the board here. Matthias de Ligt, widely considered the best young defender in the world, is going to land on Newcastle, and I'm pretty sure the tune is overjoyed. Instantly helps out that back line, and I remember this kid was keeping pace, stride for Marcus Rashford a couple of seasons ago. Think he could be the next Rafael Varane. And with that, Crystal Palace is now on the clock. I think we can all agree, Crystal Palace going forward. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Midfield, yeah, you know, they're technically playing Schlump in the midfield. So I was considering a couple of center mids here, but I think the most pressing need is right here. 75 rated Dan. He's 32 years of age. They need an upgrade. They need to get younger, and there still is a nice young center back prospect available, even with de Ligt and Skriniar off of the board. So with the 9th overall pick, they're going to go ahead and select Nicolas Sula from Bayern München. 93 potential, 6'5", and he's fast. 84 freaking sprint speed and 94 strength. And now, if they can hold on to Wan-Bissaka, you got a promising young backline. And with that, West Ham is now on the phone. Now, West Ham actually have one of the worst defensive records of any of the teams in the mid-table. But on paper, they should be relatively solid. Ogbonna is a 77 rated overall. They got Issa Diop, who is a career mode legend. He can get up to an 86 overall. So you're just going to let that develop. You want to get an impact player. And the youngster who arguably has the biggest impact in all of Europe this season is still sitting there on the board. So with the 10th overall pick, the Hammers are going to get themselves the darling of England, Jaden Sancho. The youngster has been an absolute revelation in not only the Bundesliga. For a time, I believe he was leading all of Europe in assists. For West Ham, it's just too much potential to pass up. You got Sancho, you got Arnautovic up top, and then you got Felipe Anderson on the left. Not a bad trio. And with that, Wolves is now on the clock. Now, if you've been following the Wolverhampton Wanderers for the past couple seasons, you know that they have a track record of selecting a certain type of player. That, of course, being if they are Portuguese. Like, half of their freaking damn team is Portuguese. So this one's like a no-brainer. I don't think anyone's going to argue with this. We're going to take the highest potential youngster coming out of Portugal right now. Of course, that is João Felix. Is it João Felix or is it João Felix? But either way, unless you've been stuck underneath a rock, you've heard this name before. The hottest prospect coming out of Portugal. A lot of people are saying, oh my god, he's the next Ronaldo and whatnot. I don't think his potential is quite that high. Whatever, he's Portuguese, he's high potential, he belongs on the Wolves. And with that, Leicester City is now on the clock. Leicester City is very interesting because their team is built as if a career mode player was using them. A lot of these kids, like Barnes and Didi Tielemans, Demarai Gray, all of them are young and have high potential. Maguire had a fantastic World Cup. Chilwell has good potential. Pereira has good potential. Johnny Evans is solid at 79 overall. And Kasper Schmeichel's pretty good. So the one area that I'm looking at might not be what everyone thinks, and that is at Jamie Vardy. Now, he's 82 overall, and he's still playing at a relatively high level, but you gotta consider he's at the age of 32. And especially in career mode, his stats are gonna be rapidly depleting over the course of the season. They gotta get younger. So I'm saying at the number 12 spot, Leicester is gonna go ahead and select Jovic. Another kid who's been absolutely flying in the Bundesliga. He's currently tied for second in the Bundesliga for goals scored, and he's only one rating below Jamie Vardy now. By mid-season, Vardy's probably going to be down to a 79. He could take over, and he's a different type of player than Vardy, so it offers him something different tactically. And with that, Watford is now on the clock. Watford, many consider a kind of an overperforming team. Going forward, they're sneaky good, and they got a nice little midfield thing going on here with Decore, Hughes, Capoue, and Pereira. So I'm going to go ahead and help them out on defense. I know Watford has a connection with the Italians, so why not pick up the best young Italian defender? And that, of course, is Romagnoli. And with that, Everton is now on the clock. Everton are another one of these teams that just have potential all over the pitch. They seem to like Calvin Lewin a lot. Sigurdsson's getting up there in age, so maybe replace him with another playmaker. Andre Gomez is nice. Gay, Richarlison, Bernard. Dinier's been fantastic this season, and Zuma and Keane give them a nice young pairing at the center back position. The only spot in the starting 11 that does not have a potential over 80, at least not anymore, is Seamus Coleman. Also at the age of 30, he's kind of getting up there, and I think this is finally the spot. This is a team that has the luxury to take Joshua Kimmich. And not only do you pick up the best young right back in the world, you pick up what many consider is the best right back overall in the world. And with that, Manchester United is now on the clock. Manchester United are a dichotomy. Even though they have a bunch of high-rated players on their squad, they're all pretty useless. Now, a lot of people are going to be screaming that we have to do something with the back line, and if Joshua Kimmich was here, he would have been the pick, but he just went one pick ago. Lindelof actually has decent end potential. He can get up to an 87, as well as Eric Bailly can get up to around the 84 range. But I think for Manchester United to get the most out of their squad, they have to build a midfield around Paul Pogba. André Pereira is leaving in the summer on a free for PSG, and Matic is 30 years of age. He'll be 31 by the start of next season. So I think we're going to pull the trigger. We're going to get a talented young center mid in the Spaniard Saul. You had Saul with the emergence of McTominay. You have two industrious box-to-box midfielders who can clean up and allow Pogba to play in a more advanced position. And with that, Chelsea is now on the clock. Now, Chelsea are an interesting lot because they are hyper-talented across the board. N'Golo Kante is still one of the best central defensive midfielders in the world. Higuain's high-rated. Eden Hazard, will he still be here? For now, I'm just going to keep him here. David Luiz is getting up there in age, and I was considering replacing him. But here's the thing is, most of the top-tier center backs are already off of the board, and there are plenty of other center backs that are young with high potential, so much so that possibly by the time it wraps around back to them in the second round, they could pick up a nice center back. So for this, we're going to upgrade at a spot, and that is we're going to find them a creative midfield that is an upgrade over Ross Barkley and another kid from the Bundesliga who's been absolutely tearing it up. We're going to give him Kai Havertz. The youngster, 19 years of age, 6'2", by the way, 4-star. Play the cam right mid. He could also play at the center forward position a little bit. You slot him in, and hopefully Chelsea fans, you might have found your next Frank Lampard. And now Arsenal are now in the call. Arsenal, we're going to go with familiarity. Unai Emery used to coach over at PSG. Arsenal have had defensive woes since forever. Everyone hates Mustafi these days, so why not go ahead and upgrade with a familiar player, and that is Kimpembe. Besides the little handball incident he had this season, he's been a fantastic prospect. He knows how to play an Unai system. It's a slam dunk pick. And with that, Tottenham is now on the clock. Looking at Tottenham, it's pretty easy to pick out the weakness in the side. It's the Sissoko. Everyone else here is either high-rated or has high potential. They have one of the best defensive backlines in the Premier League. Why is Sissoko here? Is what Spurs fans have been asking for a long time. So let's go ahead and change that. And with the 18th pick in the first round, Tottenham go ahead and select one of the best young midfielders in the game right now, and that is Milinkovic Savic. He's a box. He can do all 6'3", 4-star weak foot, 4-star skill moves. He even got 80 finishing, good heading accuracy, an absolute beast. And Tottenham go ahead and add a white Pogba to their squad. And with that, Liverpool are now on the clock. Now this is going to be a little bit point of contention because currently, as of right now, officially Liverpool is on top of the league. So technically they should probably get the last overall pick in the first round. But I believe they have a game in hand, and Man City's next game is up against Manchester United, which is going to be 3 points, let's be honest. And odds are right now is Man City are going to win the league, so we're just going to give Man City the last pick of the first round and Liverpool the second and last pick. And Liverpool, once again, one of those teams where it's very obvious that they have 1 point of weakness, really. They're pretty fantastic everywhere else except for center backs, so we're going to take the best young center back still available. And there's a good one staring at him, and that is Jimenez of Atletico Madrid. 84 overall, he's an instant upgrade, and then he's got a potential of 90. Super solid player. You pair him up with Virgil van Dijk, and this is a treble contender team. That was disgusting coming out of my mouth, being a Manchester United fan, but I must admit, this looks fantastic. And with that, possible Premier League champions Manchester City are on the clock with the final pick in the first round. What do you give the team that needs nothing? They either got high potential youngsters or actually high-rated players at every single position across the pitch. And then you go on the bench, it's more of the same. They have 3 teams worth of talent. So when you got a team this loaded and you got a coach who's excellent at developing talent, what do? You just add the highest potential youngster you can find. And at the 20th pick overall, this guy is still available, and it's disgusting. But Manchester City, final pick of the first round, pick up Vinicius Jr. of Real Madrid. 78 overall, 92, 93 in potential. A lot of people thought he might flop over at Real Madrid, and yes, he might not be Cristiano Ronaldo levels, but he has held his own and surprised many. You add him to an already freaking loaded roster, and it's just an embarrassment of riches. And that concludes the first round. Now moving on to the second round, I'm going to speed things a little bit up because otherwise we'll be here forever. So with that, Huddersfield back on the clock. Huddersfield with the first overall pick to Kylian Mbappe. That was a no-brainer, but I still think they need a little bit more offense. We're going to go with the left wing position. They're currently playing a left wing back low over there. We're going to upgrade it with Julian Brandt. But the 22-year-old has finally started to blossom in real life. He's been fantastic cutting it up in the Bundesliga and a monstrous 88 potential. And what's nice about him is he gives flexibility, being able to play at the left mid, the right mid, and also play at the cam position if you want to play him right behind Mr. Kylian Mbappe. And with that, Fulham is now on the clock. Fulham in the first round went defense by picking up Skriniar, who is tied for the highest potential youngster center back in the game, as well as being the highest rated youngster center back in the game. A glaring weakness over here, they got a 6'9" rated Odoi, who is a center back playing at right back. Fosu Mensah is returning to Manchester United after the season. So we're going to go defense again to hopefully spring them out of the relegation battle troubles. And we're going to pick up Mr. Militao. He is a center back, but he can also play at the right back position. He's earmarked to be Brazil's next great defender. And I think Fulham hopefully have the back line now to go ahead and get them out of the relegation zone. With that, Cardiff City is now on the clock. Cardiff City went with Donnarumma in the first round, and in the second round, they're going to go offense. At the striker position, they're going to pick up Cutrone of AC Milan. Highly considered the next great striker from Italy. I just noticed that they took 2 players from AC Milan there. But yeah, pretty good youngsters. Next up, Brighton is on the clock. Brighton in the first round went Ousmane Dembele, and now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the midfield and see if we can upgrade there. Stevens is rated at 76. He's up there in age at 29. Why not go ahead and grab one of the best young midfielders in the game right now, and that is Barcelona's Arthur. I'm a little bit apprehensive about this because, you know, the recent history of La Masia graduates is they come in with a lot of hype, but they never really live up to it. But Arthur does seem to be the real deal. And Brighton are another team who's going to double dip, as they have both their selections from Barcelona. He has familiarity with Dembele. And with that, Southampton is now on the clock. Southampton in the first round picked up what many consider was the second best striker in this draft in Timo Werner. And in the second round, they're going to upgrade their mediocre at best defense. Take out Stevens here, and we're going to add in the Barcelona product, Lenglet? I don't know how to say his name. It's like French or something. Whatever he is, he's another Barcelona youngster, so take it with a grain of salt, but he's got excellent end potential. And Southampton add another talented youngster to their roster. And with that, Burnley is on the clock. Burnley with the first pick lucked into the best young midfielder in the game, and that is Frankie de Jong. And I think in the second round, we can no longer ignore Bardsley's old ass. He's 72 rated. He's 33 years of age. Let's go ahead and pick up the second best right back that you can currently get, and that is Odriozola of Real Madrid. And with that, Bournemouth is now on the clock. Bournemouth upgraded at keeper, picking up Alban Lafont in the first round, and I think in the second round, I like Lewis Cook, but he's no OR. One of the highest potential midfielders in the game. I don't think anyone's really going to play. Alban Lafont, 91 potential, OR, 90 potential. And with that, Newcastle is on the clock. Newcastle freaking lucked into Matthias de Ligt in the first round, and they're going to luck into one of the best young midfielders in the game in the second. We're going to upgrade over Ki Sung-young with a youngster that almost any team would be happy to have, and that's Leon Goretzka. Instant upgrade, 84 overall. And with that, Crystal Palace is now on the clock. Crystal Palace wins defense with Nicolas Sula in the first round, and in the second round, they're going to opt to go ahead and upgrade their midfield because they're playing Schlupp freaking there. So we're going to replace that with Bruno Fernandes. Millie Rock and Kouyaté can play the more defensive roles, while Bruno Fernandes is the playmaker that can provide balls up to Zaha and Townsend. And with that, West Ham is now on the clock. West Ham have a pretty trio sitting up top with Felipe Anderson, Arnautovic, and then picking up Jaden Sancho in the first round. In the second round, they are going to address their weakness at fullback. Odriozola got picked a little bit early in the round, so they're going to go with the best left back available, and it's a good one. It's Lucas Hernandez. The World Cup winner is an instant upgrade and can also offer versatility playing at the left back and center back role. And with that, Wolves is now on the clock. Wolverhampton Wanderers went with João Felix in the first round, and they are going to go ahead and address their weakest spot, which is center back. But since it's Wolves, we're going to go Portuguese. Rodon Diaz, 79 rated overall, so he's no slouch. He instantly upgrades that back line, and he has potential of 86. And with that, Leicester is now on the clock. Leicester have a nice, interesting young core with an aging Jamie Vardy. So in the first round, we went with Jovic. And then when considering where to go in the second round, I was thinking back to how Leicester had that magical run a couple of years ago when they won the league. So we're going to follow in the footsteps of N'Golo Kanté. We're going over to the French league and picking up a young, high-potential CDM in Ndombele. And hopefully Leicester fans have gotten you the Kanté and Vardy of the next generation. And with that, Watford is now on the clock. Watford went defense, picking up Romagnoli in the first round. And now we're going to upgrade the aging Halabas, who's 34 years of age, although he's still a respectable 78. He's no Grimaldo. Speaking of La Masia graduates, Grimaldo is one of the few who have actually been achieving his potential, just not over at Barcelona. And with that, Everton is now on the clock. Everton were really lucky to have Joshua Kimmich fall to them in the first round. And in the second round, they're going to go ahead and look for a replacement for Andre Gomez, who's only there on loans. So going for the next high-rated center mid in the game, and that is Juventus's Bentancur. And with that, Manchester United is now on the clock. Manchester United wins Saul in the first round to help build a midfield around Paul Pogba. There are a lot of questions in the backline, especially Ashley Young. Get the F out of my club. But you got to remember that in the summer, they picked up a high potential youngster in Diego Dalot, who has shown flashes in his couple of appearances. So I think we're going to go ahead and go with a center back here. We're picking up Akanji. He's got 87 potential, and he's also an instant upgrade over the Phil Joneses, the Chris Smallings, and the Eric Bodies. And with that, Chelsea is now on the clock. Chelsea in the first round picked up the best attacking midfielder in the game, and then in the second round, I think now we're going to go ahead and look to upgrade over the aging David Luiz, and we're going to pair Rudiger with Jonathan Tah. Yes, two black guys from Germany who have excellent end potential, and I think both of them played in the Bundesliga before coming over to the Premier League. And with that, Arsenal is now on the clock. Unai Emery went with familiarity in the first round, picking up Mbappe to upgrade their back line, and in the second round, they're going to go ahead and upgrade in the midfield as well by picking up another familiar face, Rabiot from PSG. It just makes sense. High potential. He's already 83 rated overall with the potential, I believe, around 87. And with that, Tottenham Hotspur is now on the clock. Tottenham upgraded over Sissoko in the midfield in the first round by picking up 21 Savage, and in the second round, I think they have to start to consider that Alderweireld might be moving on after the season. So why not go ahead and pick his natural replacement? They do have Davinson Sanchez, but let's go young again and get Mr. Van der Hoosten. Now, he is a little bit low rated at 73, but he does have a high end potential of 87, and he is Belgian. Essentially an Alderweireld regen. And with that, Liverpool is now on the clock. Liverpool in their first round upgraded their one weak spot in their starting 11, picking up Jimenez from Atletico Madrid. So in the second round, they can kind of go luxury here. And I saw that a big name was still available, and I would love to see this player underneath Klopp. And that is Thomas Lamar, who's currently over at Atletico Madrid. Now, I don't think that he plays ahead of Sadio Mane, but what I like about him is versatility, as he can play both on the left mid, right mid, and play a bit of camp. And what Lamar would be for this team is an insurance policy. If any of the front three go down, got an excellent replacement waiting for you on the bench. And with that, Manchester City is now on the clock. With the last pick in the first round, Vinicius Jr. fell to Manchester City, and with the final pick in the 2019 draft, Manchester City can go ahead and pick whoever they goddamn please. And Fernandinho, I believe, is leaving at the end of the season. So why not go ahead and grab the highest young potential CDM in Europe in Tonali. This team is gross. And that is going to go ahead and conclude the 2019 Premier League draft. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these teams with their drafted players. We're going to play out a season of the Premier League and see how things shuffle out. So now we sit on July 1st of 2018. What we're going to do is sim to the end of the season and see how the players did. So yeah, until then, take it away. Time was up.
Go time wizard!
All right, we sit on June 1st of 2019. Let's see the player stats at the end of the season. Interesting. It is Heung-min Son who goes ahead and wins the Golden Boot with 20 goals scored. Lukaku's in second place with Eden Hazard in third, but tied for third is one of the youngsters, Kylian Mbappe for Huddersfield, was doing bits, 18 goals scored for. And then looking down the list, we don't see any of the youngsters except for Timo Werner, who scored 10 for Southampton. In assists, it is a tie between Eden Hazard and Kylian Mbappe with 10 apiece. And then Huddersfield got a couple of other guys in here. I don't know who the Schlager guy is, but Julian Brandt in 12th place, contributing 6. And then a couple of midfielders down in the 20s. Saul had 5 assists for Manchester United, while Goretzka had 5 for Newcastle United. And then in clean sheets is Hugo Lloris, who wins the Golden Glove with 14 clean sheets, with Kasper Schmeichel in second place. But here's the thing to note here: Crystal Palace and Huddersfield are pretty high up. In fact, Huddersfield have had someone in the top 5, albeit it's Mbappe for both of them. But they've been littered across these player stats. But this is interesting. I think Huddersfield definitely escaped relegation. So here it is, and this is how it shaped out. Burnley are relegated. They were in last place, followed by Cardiff City and Bournemouth. Really? So Burnley, might I remind you, picked up Frankie de Jong and Odriozola, and that made them the worst team in the league. Cardiff City was always going to be rough because they had the least talented roster. I thought they picked up an excellent duo in Donnarumma and Catrone, but I guess just the rest of the side, it just wasn't there. Bournemouth picked up Alban Lafont and Noir, and what's interesting is the two teams that took goalkeepers high, they ended up getting relegated. So maybe the next time I do this, don't pick a goalkeeper high. It's not worth it. And then Burnley took a right back high. So I think this goes to my theory: upgrade center backs, midfield, and then strikers. But notable here, Brighton was in the relegation zone and they got themselves out of it. So the additions of Skriniar and Militao really helped them out. And the bigger news is Huddersfield, who was at the dead bottom, they had the #1 pick overall. Not only are they out of the relegation zone, they're not even in the bottom 10. Mbappe made that much of a difference. All right, I haven't looked at it. What do you guys think? How far do you think Huddersfield have made it? I think, given the stats, I think they're right outside of the top 4. But all right, let's go up the list. Newcastle in 11th place. Leicester stayed around there. Arsenal floated down to 9th. Manchester, what is going on? Manchester City's in 8th? How did that happen? Huddersfield in 7th place. So yeah, they were right outside of the top 4-ish. Kind of. West Ham got all the way up to 5th place. My God. West Ham, I want to remind you, picked up Jaden Sancho and Lucas Hernandez, and it gave them one of their best finishes in recent history. Everton got up to 4th place. They were the ones who picked up Joshua Kimmich, so maybe I was wrong, as well as Bentancur. Liverpool finished in 3rd, which is interesting, but I mean, their team was pretty well made already. Chelsea finished in 2nd with the addition of Jonathan Tah, as well as Kai Havertz. And 1st place is Tottenham Hotspur with the picking up a Milinko Savic, and then kind of a luxury pick in Vanderhoos because he's 73 rated. And this gives you a little bit of a snapshot of why the draft matters so much in the NBA and the NFL especially. You get that generational game-changing talent like a LeBron James, like a Patrick Mahomes, and in this case, like a Kylian Mbappe. It can change the fortunes of a franchise. Huddersfield were dead last. And in one season, they had Kylian Mbappe and Julian Brandt, and they finished higher in the table than Manchester City. That is ridiculous. Let me know in the comments down below, who would you have taken for your team? Or, I mean, I suggested if you want to go ahead and try this experiment out, let me know your results down below. If you want to check out other weird and wacky experiments, go ahead and click over here, Dean's Booth. This is a fun one. Or if you want to check out my career mode, which is just completely insane, check out the China Ruins Everything career mode over here. But yeah, it's me, BMOnus. I'm going to go ahead, go watch the draft right now. Remember, stay yourself, stay humble. And until next time, guys, go Niners. Please draft Nick Bosa.